What's good, sports fans? What's good, people? What's good, family? This is Rob Planner. I'm back again. I'm on the Playbook. This is the Enough is Enough series where I'm interviewing young athletes. I want to open it up. Young athletes. We will be. It's right now. It's just black athletes. We're just focusing on what's going on in the world right now. So today I got special guests with me. I got my best friend, my brother, Amari Lawrence. Amari was a collegiate athlete, scholarship athlete. He, in high school, was a great track athlete, went to nationals. He was everywhere, anywhere you could be that matters in high school sports with track. Amari was there. He was good. Amari, say what's up.
What's up with y'all?
Yep. So Amari, he's I have the utmost respect for him. We've been friends since day one that I went to both went to Pace University together. He was a cornerback at Pace University. Worked his way up, walk on to scholarship athlete kind of thing. He was hard worker, great person. Just somebody who I've always looked up to and go to for advice daily. I mean, I'll just call Amari on the phone and be like, look, man, like, what do I do here? What do we do about this kind of thing? So obviously we've been talking about this. Amari, just give me your raw feelings on what's going on right now, man.
Well, I want to start by saying, I appreciate you having me out here, bro. It definitely means a lot. We have these conversations daily, and just to know, that someone I care about so much really values my opinion. Like, I really respect you for that. And I appreciate what you're doing with this Enough is Enough series. Like, a lot more people need to do this. But I think raw emotions, I've been processing this like I think a lot of Black people in America have been processing it. It's not anything that's surprising. It's not anything necessarily new for us. So, I want to say when I found out the situation about George Floyd, I was almost numb. I didn't even know what to feel. I wanted to feel sadness, and I wanted to feel that initial anger and that upset that the country has all had. But I just understand our history as people, and I just understand that, where all of this racism and white supremacy stems from. And so it's been hard for me. I think as time went on, I've been able to feel more emotions about it. I've been able to get more angrier about it and really seek answers and really try to figure out where I can play into this and what I can do best. But right now I'm kind of feeling, I'm just kind of feeling like in between. And I think that's just like important to say that. You don't necessarily have to have a clear-cut emotion. And so I just think I feel really in between. You obviously know where I stand. I think this is wrong, and I think this is a modern day lynching, and I think this keeps happening. But I can't remember a time in my young adult life where I haven't seen something like this. So it's a shame that at 22 years old, I'm just numb. You know what I'm saying? And we've had this conversation a ton where just like that first real time you seen something like that. I remember back to Trayvon, that was the first real time I was like, oh, this is real. This is a really reality of my life. I have to really walk outside and know that someone that could look just like me, can be subject to just those heinous crimes and this is just such a human rights issue. So yeah, I'm kind of all over the place, but I've been trying my best to process it in just different ways, for sure.
And I remember when it first happened, Amari was saying that. He was telling me, and he's like, it's same thing that, Shavar agreed the same way. He was saying at first it's just like, I'm numb to it. It's just something you're like, man, it happened again. Just like when, Ahmaud Arbery, it happened, and we sit there and we look at it, and we were kind of like, this is bad. Like, it's a bad situation. I had friends texting me, like, you're okay? How do you feel about this? And I'm kind of just like, man, like, I'm glad you guys care enough to ask me, that kind of thing. That was a big thing. But it's just, we're so used to it. It's normal. It's such like a normal thing. And the fact that it's becoming not normal, the fact that people are like, wow, this is outrageous, it's nice to see, because I remember every other time, and even when Trayvon happened, there was lists of names that people were making, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, there's no, and that's just what we are seeing. There's way more that's either unreported or just not, the information is not there for us to know. But there's these long list of names, and I mean, this is happening right now. That kind of thing.
I kind of want to piggyback off of that just a little bit. I want to definitely say R.I.P. Breonna Taylor, R.I.P. Tamir Rice, R.I.P. Trayvon, R.I.P. Philando Castile,
Sandra Bland,
R.I.P. Ahmaud. It's just like these constant list of names we see, and how there is outrage at the time, and then it slowly just becomes a hashtag for many other people. But for us, for you and I, two Black men, we have to always have that constant reminder, like, that this is really a reality of our situation. And I just find it, really disheartening. And, I kind of want to touch base on that too. I think because we carry so much pain with us when it comes to things like this, that we're almost skeptical when we see other people that aren't Black, other people of color, like have the same outrage, because it's normally not like this.
Yeah,
it's normally like people kind of show their solidarity by just throwing up a real quick hashtag Black Lives Matter. They think that's it. So the fact that there's so much solidarity, there's people really taking action, there's people really, like caring about it. And, even if it, I don't want to say like, okay, why did it just take this for this to happen for you to finally care? You know what I'm saying? Because that's kind of like detrimental to the real cause of what we're trying to like get done. And we're trying to end systemic racism, right? And so initially I was like really skeptical seeing all this outrage and just seeing all these people that care about it, because I felt like it was a trend. I felt like it was people just trying to cover their own basis because they didn't want to look like the racist. Okay, if I put this out and I really speak about it, I'm not looking neutral, so I'm good. I don't have to worry about anybody calling me out. And so I think I've been seeing a lot of performative activism, and, I've been able to weed through that to see the people that really care and the people that really want to act in solidarity. So I think it's really a breath of fresh air. And, you could also tell me how you feel about it, but it's been a real breath of fresh air to see the outrage and how all these people who it has nothing to do with them, who don't go every day to the grocery store and have to fear they're going to get arrested for stealing, or fear like, because I look like this, I'm going to get arrested, how they actually have real passion about it. So I think that it's been a real breath of fresh air. And I think that like me being skeptical is just coming from a place of pain. And I've been able to really process that a lot lately. And I think that's where I've been the past week, just kind of like not trying to see the negative, not trying to just weed out. And it's important. You got to weed out the people in your life and people in your circle that don't care, that that are being neutral because they want to bask in their own privilege. You got to make sure you weed those people out, get those people out, because there's no benefit to having them around you. But I think I'm starting to open up to more people, like really, and like actually having dialogue with somebody other than a Black person. Because it just feels so draining. It feels like you're just teaching something they should already know. You know what I mean? So,
and I think the like it's interesting. Like I want to go off two of those points and just to talk about that. When you first were saying like when Trayvon happened, me and you both, I think that was the first time in our young lives period that we were like, wow, the things my parents tell me about racism in this country are true. I see it. Like this kid is around my age, a little older kind of thing, but like that's me, like that legitimately is me, like just a young African-American kind of thing. And it was the first time we really were like, okay, we need to do something like this. This affects me, that like Trayvon in large part is what motivated like, the Urban Male Initiative at Pace that me and Amari were part of again. So, that's going way back, that in part like motivates you to know you have to do something in the world kind of thing. And that was what it took for us. But we have to accept the fact that like for some, for most, I would think the majority of people who are being more active now, as far as non-Black people, but also like for some Black people, this is the first time they feel like they need to do something besides just hashtag this, oh, it's so bad that this happened, and just keep living regular life. This is the first time where everybody's kind of like, we need to see a change, and like we knew when Trayvon happened, it really wasn't like deep down. It was like, this isn't really going to do anything though. Like you still, you wanted to make a change. You want to make it known that it was wrong what happened, but it wasn't as like unity towards one goal. Like now this feels like everyone's really coming together and trying to move towards one thing. And I mean, there's still pushback. There's always gonna be pushback. And that's the thing. Nothing hurts the most, but like you said, this is a breath of fresh air because you're like, wow, people care. Like, I really think something, the world's going to be a better place when this is all over. That was like something at first I'm like taking it kind of hard. I'm like, man, this is terrible. Like, all these, the riots are going on and everything. It's just unease, and like, I understand why the unease is there, but it's just like, I just hope, things come back together. And it's like, we know there's a good ending to this. We know that it can, it's just going to slowly but surely get better once we're done kind of thing. But we have to, like you said, we got to allow people who really are outraged, let it come out. Let them be who they're going to be with it, that kind of thing. I just think it's important to be open to that kind of thing. I agree for sure.
I think there's space, right, for multiple opinions, right? And you're and I think the funny thing about our friendship for sure is just like I'm always the type to be like, no, this is wrong, like, I don't care, and just not be open-minded, right? And I think there's a lot of space for a lot of different opinions, right? I don't think there's any room for the opinion that there is absolutely no room. Let me stand by my statement. There's absolutely no room for the opinion that what happened was justified. It's never justified. It's never right. This is a modern day lynching. This is exactly how the system was set up for, this is exactly how the system was set up. This is exactly what's supposed to happen within the system. You know what I'm saying? This country was built on racism. This country was built on Black people and Black lives being property.
Yeah,
right? There was laws that were made and the Constitution was written with no regard for our actual lives. Like we've never mattered. We've actually never mattered. You know what I'm saying? In the eyes of the people that built this country, right? And so I think people have to understand that and remember that, right? You know what I'm saying? The country was built. The country was built on a riot.
That's
People were mad about a specific thing and rioted to get what they wanted. And so for people to have the idea that this rioting and protesting and people outside being active and really trying to put pressure on the people that they know can make things happen, like, is beyond me. And it's just like you're trying to avoid the point on purpose. You're really not trying to. You still want to make sure that you're still safe within your own privilege. And I just think that we'll get into that in the next question. But I think, you know, that's a really important thing that people have to remember. There's no room for that opinion because that opinion is not right. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're thinking about it from a human rights issue,
still wrong.
This is still absolutely wrong. But I think within the space of people of color, not non-Black people of color, I think there's a lot of room for a lot of different opinions. And I think that as tiring as it is for Black people to kind of be that voice and kind of always express like, this is happening to us, this is how I feel, I think there's room to hear other people say like, look, I didn't know this is what you went through as a people. How could I help? Or vice versa. Like, what is it about the things that are happening that is making you specifically angry about that? And I think there's room for that, and there's room for that conversation. I think, you know, I've been way more open to that than I would normally because of this. And I see a lot more people being open to that, you know, even in our dialogue or just regular dialogue. It's just like we're taking in all these opinions and trying to make sure we're informed as possible. So,
So, just going off of that, I mean, it's, you know, it's just be open. That's the thing. We got to have a conversation, being open. That thing helps. You know, we can't ignore the fact that, you know, that's going to help. And that's just something that we all got to be comfortable with. Even if we, you know, see people saying stuff for the first time, maybe they really are educating themselves and having that epiphany. And you got to give them the chance to be as angry as, you know, they can be. You know, they'll never, even though they won't be able to walk in our skin, they can at least understand to a certain extent what we're going through. And that means a lot. That does mean a lot. So just moving on to the next question. Again, I'll say, you know, President Obama, he was calling the few days ago, he made a statement talking about specific change. And he actually tweeted yesterday some things that he would look at as specific change and what he thinks the change needs to be. But I've just been asking everybody, what do you think change should be? So, Amari, what do you think the change should be that we should make? What would you like to see change, you know, as far as to get this thing going?
Yeah, so I think that's a really great question. It's really dense because, you know, I think a lot of people in society right now are really like trying to figure out like, what can I specifically do, right? And I think we need to all understand that it first and foremost with the system just needs to be dismantled, right? And I think when people hear that, they're just like, all right, so you don't want police, or okay, you don't. No, it's not about that. It's just like the system is built on and the ideals is built on needs to be withered down to absolutely nothing, right? So if you dismantle the system by actually putting people in positions of power that actually have Black people's lives at their forefront, that's how you can enact change. And that kind of just starts with us being more aware politically of who we should vote for. And that's not just the president. That's literally just like local state elections. You know what I'm saying? You're like local assembly member or your mayor or your just whoever, like you're active in these areas of voting so you can put people that actually have your best interest forward. Because it starts there. If you can get people that have your best interest within your own community is going to get better, and then it's going to just be the effect is just going to go up the chain as you keep voting. So I think that people kind of need to just be more informed and not just be turned completely off from politics in general, especially during a time like this. Like your vote is so important. You know what I'm saying? Like you should register, you should pay attention to the local elections, and you should make sure you understand that the people that you're putting in positions of power want you to matter as a person. So I think first and foremost, that kind of starts with that. Like, let's not completely throw away our ideals. I think that the system should be dismantled, and the only way that can be dismantled is by legislation. We've had this conversation a ton of times. those same people in power that we put in these positions of power, they can start passing legislation that can ban certain things if the NYPD can't, if you ban chokeholds, if you ban tasers, if you ban like certain things that they can use for excessive force, if legislation is passed, then you could see better policing in the community. You know what I'm saying? Or if you set up something like community policing, we have like different avenues of that where you don't necessarily need police, but you understand that there is consequences to actions. Most communities would be better. You go into very, very rich, wealthy neighborhoods and you wouldn't see a cop for a 5-mile radius. You know what I'm saying? You go down the block in what they would consider a bad neighborhood in New York City or whatever, and there's a cop on every block.
Yeah.
Right? And and they've been around, they know all the kids there, but not for any good reasons. Like you see him and you're just like, I know they're about to harass me, right?
Yeah.
That has to change, right? We shouldn't keep putting all these police in disenfranchised neighborhoods and they're not from there and they're only looking to do one thing, just harass people in the community. Like that has to change, and that's only going to change by legislation. And it's a really tough ordeal because, we have people in office, especially as the leader of the free world, absolutely will not vote for, or it will not put legislation forward and actually like pass anything related to that.
That would be that.
Like the Senate's not passing anything like that. So, but I think, kind of refocusing on what we can do is just keep applying pressure. The protests need to continue. Exactly what's happening needs to happen. Exactly. This is the pressure that needs to be applied for people in those higher positions to really sweat and really say, okay, like we need to fix this because like our country can't handle anymore. If you are, one of the really, really brave people that are out there protesting, like keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate you. I stand by you. I stand for exactly what you're doing. We love you. Keep doing what you're doing because exactly what you're doing is working, right? Protests shouldn't stop. You know what I'm saying? And I think that petitions need to be signed. More people, asking a bunch of people that really don't have a lot of means to donate is one thing, but like whatever little you can, just donate. Donate to the freedom funds that can get these people out of jail because they are protesting. Donate to Ahmad's GoFundMe. Like donate to different causes that are really helping our people out right now. And just like and lastly, I think what we should do is just keep actively having these conversations. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to come back, and I think this is where I want to make sure I like really drive this in for if you are white or if you are a non-person of color, like you really have to combat your privilege. You really have to combat your privilege, and combating your privilege isn't just doing a blackout Tuesday on Instagram. Like that's really having those tough conversations you have to have with family members that are prejudiced and racist towards Black people, and having them understand why that thinking is not only outdated, but it's completely wrong. You have to have that. Like if you are a white person and you feel like you're scared to come out and say anything, right? That's a good feeling you should have, because there's no space for you to come out and say something very tone deaf. You coming out and saying something random, just like, oh, all people matter, blah, 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 like that type of stuff. Like there's no space for that. Don't come out here and say tone deaf, because that's not helping anything. But you may be conversing with somebody of color that and saying like, what can I say and what can I do to like change how I'm thinking? Having that conversation, posting something that actually means something on Instagram, Twitter, etc. Posting something that really has meaning. You know what I'm saying? Going out of your way, donating, having those conversations with your family members that don't agree with anything you're thinking, and trying to drive that ideal in that like these people matter. They're humans just like you are. And all that history you were taught is whitewash history. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not telling you about the countless injustices we face every single day. They're not telling you that my friend can't walk down the street without having to literally look behind his shoulder. Or if somebody's walking up too quick on them, they're worried. You have to combat your privilege by having those hard conversations and not being neutral. So I think that's the most important thing for us to continue doing. And that's how we're going to get the change we need to get. Legislation, combating privilege, applying pressure with protesting, period.
Period. And that it's crazy because I was getting the article up that Obama has for like specific action. The first thing he was writing, first thing he talks about is local mayors, which you touched on. Then you talked about signing petitions and donating, which is I'm looking at it right now. And I know you didn't prep for this. This is just what's off the top of your head.
Yeah.
That's what tells you, like, I really hope you guys listen to what Amari just said, because all of that is exactly what you're going to get out of that article. You know, like that just proves it right there. But that's a good point. Those are good points right there. You know, you sign petitions. Locally, if you're working locally, that's the best way you can make an immediate change. You can go, you can vote, and you can vote in people who are gonna make these changes. You know, you send emails. These things, like you said, when there's protests in the United States, it doesn't look good for the government. That's what we have to realize. It's not like people are there because they're happy. They're there for a reason. There's a reason the streets are blocked off, that things are getting slowed down in cities and everything. And obviously we're in the middle of a pandemic that helps as many people be in the streets that are there. But on top of that, when you're in office and there's people protesting, like, I mean, thousands of people on the streets in your city, you have to do something to right this wrong, you know, because people can point to the riots. They can point to this being, the bottom line is protesting is part of what we are as a nation. You know, that's part of how things are supposed to go to make change. So when you see this, and it just every day, people walking on the street, like you said, that pressure, it speaks to them. That is them. It literally is the way of saying you're not doing your job properly. Like, you need to do your job properly. And the only way we can really make that hurt is by voting these people out, voting new people in who are actually going to, you know, have that change. But what we can do immediately as people without, you know, take voting, that's important. But what we can do is, like, inform yourself to combat the privilege, to be able to talk to your uncle, your aunt, your dad, your mom and your dad, if that's the problem. You know, if you're white and they don't understand you know, some people, the way we get our news sources is another problem. A lot of people don't want to look at the other side and what's going on because it really doesn't apply to them. And this is one of those things that's literally, it's not like you can be a Republican and you're reaching across to see what Democrats are saying. It's not that kind of thing. It's like you personally can never be, you know, a black person, but you can inform yourself to understand what we're going through. And then you can try to help someone else understand who also looks like you, which is important. That's exactly what you said, Amari. And I think you hit the nail right on the head, because I'm looking at the website and you hit every single point that's on here.
Right.
So, I mean,
I think I kind of want to make sure I say, like, I think what you said is just like, you can make somebody that also is not black understand. It's just like, the thing is, you're never going to truly, fully understand what it's like to be in our position. But I'm saying, it's just like the intent. And it's just like the fact that you want to understand, the fact that you're making the effort to understand, the fact that you want to know what the right thing to do is the most important thing.
That is,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Because it's just like, intent is so important, right? You can make a mistake and have the right intent, right? But it's just like, if your soul's not in the right place, if your heart's really not in the right place, like, there is no righting that wrong. And so if you're trying to right a wrong, and you have to really truly want to know where somebody's coming from. You really want to step in their shoes. And I think that's just like, point blank period. It's just that simple. Like, you need to actually want to understand. And you really just want to know, like, you know, what the right thing to do is. And I think that's what people have to understand. Like, you just being like, this is wrong, and that's it. That doesn't really do a lot. You know what I mean? So.
And another thing I think is important is we gotta, you know, I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who, you know, watch this, don't watch it, whatever. Like, they're just like, I just want it to, you know, end. I just want people to just, like, be happy again, and this, like, you know, peace to come back, and we not talk about racism, and, you know, we just be unity and have all, you know, I'm sure, and I get that it's uncomfortable for you, you know, that kind of thing. But, like, you have to understand, like, we as black people have gotten to a point where we're just in this comfort in being so uncomfortable with everything we do in life. Absolutely. Like, and I think a lot of people are just trying to turn the other cheek to this and just wait till it goes away. And, you know, it's really not the time for that. Like, you really need to understand what's going on, because this is our lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something we deal with all the time. This uncomfortability, like, it's weird because I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, yeah, social media, like, really isn't normal like this. You know, it's getting, you know, we're talking about the right things, but it's like, you know, sometimes you go on social media, escape from, like, life, you know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because now I'm scrolling and I'm like, everybody's just it's like constantly reminding of, like, things that I think about that I'm just so used to, which is, that's like it's such a deeper thing, but that's what this is. That's really what this is at the end of the day.
Subconscious. It's just like being taught, like, when you finally, like, think about it, right? The first Black history class we really had was college.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
We're
that we
sitting in that
really
class with
learned.
Dr. Taylor, learning about stuff I've never,
Heard
ever in
of.
my life heard
Nope.
of. You know what I'm
Nope.
saying?
Nope.
And the fact that we had to take that as an elective, we had to go out of our way to pick that class
be
to
taught,
learn about history is crazy. And I just
Yeah.
think that, like, you know, from what we've been taught by our parents, we've been blessed enough to have parents that really understand stuff like this and really put us in a position to succeed, right? And so we've been taught a lot of life lessons early, like really, really early in life. And I just think that, like, you know, like one of the things I struggle with social media the most, like you already know, like I had to take a week off from social media.
Yeah, just because
like,
it is.
Imagine you literally already understand the plight of what it is to be you. You understand how dangerous that is every day. And then you got to go on social media and every day be reminded that you can get killed at any point, that you can get arrested at any point. It's one of the like toughest thing to grapple with. And it's just like, it will immediately turn you sad and just immediately like mess you up for the day. So I had to take like a week off and just like, you know, come back to it just yesterday. And so I think that that's hard. And that's what I kind of want to say to like non-people of color, like, don't go on there and start sharing anything just because. Like, if you're sharing willy-nilly pictures of us getting beat down, videos of this, like, you got to understand how triggering that could be for us. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be smart about what you're posting. And you have to understand that within this really clouded space, you can't be adding more triggering things to it. So I think that's one thing, like a kind of a PSA I want to say to people, like, be smart about what you're really putting out. Like, if it's going to be anything, let it be like a little excerpt about like gaslighting terms for like non-people of color that they say when they're like, oh, they peacefully protest, this wouldn't happen. Like, put out things like that so they can understand. Don't just put out videos of us getting murdered. That doesn't help. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's definitely a time where you want to be smart about what you say. And like, I didn't really want to get into this, but like, you know, like take like the Drew Brees situation and what he said, you know, it's just like one of those, you know, this is a time where you need to be careful what you say on the internet. Like that's something that's been true forever. But like, I mean, more people, there's people losing their jobs left and right because they're saying like very racist things on Facebook, wherever people are finding them kind of thing. So like, before you put anything out that has to do with this, you know, take the time, understand what's going on, and be smart because like to protect yourself in all honesty, because this is a time where people are tired of people who are uninformed, people who refuse to get it, you know, that kind of thing. And it's not, there's no excuse anymore. You know, we're not getting Drew Brees, exactly. And, you know, people are understanding Drew Brees, misunderstanding and stuff like that. But it's like, look, this is like, that's like kind of a warning to people that like, look, this is not funny. This is not like a joke. Like, if you feel a certain way, you need to understand what people are going through regardless. That's something that is this is a human rights issue, and you need to understand the different angles of it. And if you don't understand the different angles of it, don't speak on it because you will be held accountable for what you say. Like, and you saw it at that point. He
said exactly what he said. And he meant what he said. The only reason he came out with an apology is because he's just like, I basically committed career suicide. Like, you said what you said. And he said this same thing in 2016. It's just like you being that privileged to know all the things going on, have all these brothers around you that are telling you, like, this is why we're kneeling. And for you to still be like, no, my grandfathers went to the war. No. I don't ever respect anybody disrespecting the flag. Is you choosing to be ignorant.
Yeah, and
you going out of your way. Like, and there's a lot of people that are still continuing to choose to be ignorant. And you can clearly see that we don't got time for that no more. Nobody has time for that no more. If you're going to say what you want to say, please mean it so we can handle it accordingly. You know what I'm saying? And inform you and get you out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I mean, it was getting to that point with him. That's why he had to release a statement, like, you know, video apology, and he released a text apology. But I think at one point he did accept it, but it just shows that like it faded. The taking the knee faded. It was gone for a couple seasons, kind of thing. Like, no one was really doing anything specifically. And then you know, and now he got to a point where he came back, you know, and he was asked about it. It's a situation where, you know, he at one point had taken a knee before the national anthem, and then he stood for the national anthem when everybody was kind of trying to come together in the NFL in 2016, I believe it was. And, you know, then he stood back up. So I get that there was a meeting where he did understand it, but that time passed, it went on, and this came back up, and then he made that statement again. And people, you know, this is the first time people like, look, you need to understand what's going on. Like, you can't just come out and say, yeah, my grandfather died. That's why I feel so passionately about it. Like, Are black, your same teammates' grandfathers died in the same wars that your grandfather fought in. Same thing. But and they came back to get treated like they weren't a real, they're a third of a person, like that's what the country was.
Yeah.
So it's deeper than just the flag. It's not about the flag. It's about what we're talking about right now. And for you to say that means you're really not paying attention to what's going on.
At all.
And I mean, a lot of people are saying, like, we get what he was saying and it was bad timing. And yes, it was bad timing, but that bad timing, you're going to be held accountable for bad timing now. That's what it is. Timing isn't an excuse to just say the wrong thing. That's where we are. That's where we are as a country.
Yeah.
But I just want to move on to our last question here because, we could talk all day. We could talk all day about that with change and everything. So has this made you want to change what you're doing at all? Like, what would you want to do moving forward? Have you made any more plans because of it kind of thing? Or like, just what is your like future endeavor plans even, just as far as that, like where are you looking to go from here, Amari? That's
so I think I've always had, I have so many things I want to do in life. Like we talk about this all the time, you know what I'm saying? But I think that like now, I've been lucky enough to have opportunities and learn so much. So like, social justice issues and just equality and human rights issues has always been one of my forefronts of what I want to make sure I have as a part of my career. And it's just like now figuring out how to incorporate that. And so, this past year working for a city agency, and I've been able to learn so much about sustainability, I want to take that sustainability aspect and I want to completely incorporate it into the business that I want to run one day.
Yeah.
And, social justice issues and like how we're talking about Ben and Jerry's and how Ben and Jerry's just they just understand, they just get it, that it doesn't matter how bad it's going to look for them politically. They don't care about nothing related to the money. It's just like, this is how we feel. This is how, this is what our beliefs are. We feel like human rights are a big thing. Like, LGBTQ rights are a humongous deal. Like Black people matter, and they just like stand by that, and they put out statements, and they do like different ice cream flavors that are all based on that stuff like that. And so when I'm telling you, like, I definitely want to incorporate that in my business one day. That's definitely what I'm going to do. And I think like this didn't necessarily give me a more of a drive, but I think this just like absolutely solidified that this is the route I have to go. And I think I just want to clarify too, I definitely want to have my own sneaker store one day. And so now I just have so many different ideas flowing around of exactly how I want to get to that goal. But I think in regards to other future endeavors, I think I want to continue working in the public sector. Like I love knowing that the direct work I do has a direct effect on the people that live in this city. I'm saying I've been doing so many things in regards to volunteering, and I've been doing so many things in regard to outreach in New York City and just meeting all these people and just understanding their needs. So I have to continue in that field personally because, I think about all the times in my life that somebody's good act and somebody's goodwill has led me to even be here. You know what I'm saying?
Even have a chance. To
even have a chance. Like you've been such a big part of that in my actual own life, letting me crash. You know what I'm saying?
Doing what we gotta do.
Parents letting me crash and knowing I didn't have a dollar to my name. Like
that kind of stuff. That's important.
My mom making a ridiculous amount of sacrifices, right? So it's just like, I want to be that security blanket for people that so many people were for me to get to this point. And I think by continuing working in the public sector, I'll be able to do that. So that's definitely like my future endeavors, right? And I just want to build on, I just want to keep building on what I've already kind of started. So
And Amari, you're one of those people who I would say it, bro. You're like, more like morally like a perfect human being. You never try to do anything to hurt anybody. If anything, you're trying to help people. That's all you want to do. And because people have helped, like you said, people have helped you, and that's all people. Sometimes all people need is just a little bit to get them going. Because there's plenty of good people in this world who want to. Like no one naturally wants to just do bad. There's a reason for that. Why these things happen. And I think, like you said, Ben and Jerry's. Ben and Jerry are two old white guys who, have been at protests forever. There's pictures of them standing there, protesting with people like that. And they just, they're the type of people like, and I think that's a good thing, that something that I can say that you were saying more or less, whatever I'm doing in my life, I'm going to take a stance on what's right and what's wrong, whether it's, racism, whether it's, you know, with trans people, you know, with, you know, that in that community, you know, that kind of thing, in the pride community, that kind of, we're going to take a stand what's right and what's wrong. We do what's right here. My company does what's right. We look at, you know, we truly look at the person you are, you know, that's what we want. We want good people in this world, you know, like, and we're going to take a stance against people who are wrong. That's what we're going to do. And I think that's something that's, you know, it's what's being communicated through what's everything that's going on right now. And that's good. That's good that a lot more people are just, you know, it doesn't mean you have to call every black person, you need to be an activist, and you need to be in the streets doing this, because that's not what it is. It's just a matter of, let's all understand that this is still a problem and we need to do something. Everyone has a responsibility to do something to help out. And, you know, it just happens that, like, we've always had these plans, but now it kind of just brings them to light more. And also, you know, being a black-owned business and stuff, it's going to mean a lot more now. If you're someone who wanted to be a black business owner, you know, I'm making strides to only spend my money places where I know we're represented in these companies and where we're running the business, where I know I'm circulating the money in the black community, because that's what's going to make a difference. That's why these donations to these freedom funds all matter. Donations matter, signing petitions matter, that kind of thing. But you know, beyond that, you want to be a black business owner, there's people who are going to come and shop to you, really come now because of this whole thing happening. So it's good. It's good. And that's just something that as small as, you know, it seems like it's not, you're not going to go and try to be the mayor or the president of the United States, but that's not what this is. You can still be a human. We just want it. It's just human beings. You know, we want an opportunity to be just as big as, you know, Flight Club or wherever, any store that you, Supreme, that kind of thing. We just want an opportunity to get to that point. And the thing is, you know, if this is what helps us do it, why, you know, so be it. So be it. You know, and that's definitely something that'll you will continue and doing it the right way and everything. But that's good. That's good though. That's definitely
for real. And you know, I think one thing I kind of remember, like I think you just definitely, you really eloquently laid that out. You know what I mean? That like this definitely can, I just see this situation just sparking so many more activists. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like, you know, you want to be a lawyer, and there's so many, you know, there's like not that many black kids that can see themselves outside of a couple things, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to be the next Bron, or I'm trying to be the next Travis Scott. Like there is none of that.
Nothing,
you know what I'm saying? So I think like things like this show people that there's so many different avenues that you can take to really make a difference in the community and get that same type of notoriety that you may have wanted, right? Like you can really, really run for office. You can really run for mayor. You can really run for these local elections and be the change that you've always wanted to see in your community. You got to understand that. That's important. And you should look to do things like that. There's room for everybody.
Everybody to make
There's room for everybody. So yeah, I think that was really important that you said that.
And and even like just me speaking personally, what I want to do now is like, you know, I'm not necessarily looking to be the president of anything of some organization, but I would, you know, I would look to be a position of leadership. You know, I'm someone who I hold myself in high regard, everything like that. And I would want to, you know, just be more active. It's just as simple as that. Be more active when it comes to our community. That's just what I can do. And, you know, being a black lawyer, there's a lot of things I'll be able to get into, you know, that can help us, you know, just even if it's representation in organizations where normally there's not a black person there, but I can, you know, help out in there, you know. So that's something I really look to do too. But Amari, you got any like final closing notes or anything? Because we're about to wrap it up. So just, you know, anything else you want to say? I don't want to push you in a box.
No, I don't really have anything, you know, too specific I want to say. I think I just want to say, like, I appreciate the opportunity for sure. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you already know what it is. You already know how we get down. So, you know, we can talk. Yeah, this is forever. We can talk about this all day. But I just want to say, I think I just want to say that, like, you know, us as black people, we got to keep fighting this fight. This is very, very important. You know what I'm saying? And this is not something that's going to be solved within maybe even our lifetime type. You know, this is going to be a process, but maybe with the pressure we're applying now, our grandkids one day can, you know, finally say there's a real change in society. And so, so I think like I said, we just got to keep fighting that fight.
And I think what's important to remember is like, there's a beautiful thing happening right now. You know, like when you really look at it, I mean, look at the good that's coming out of this, you know, like you got to understand there's a beautiful thing in the world that's happened that's never happened before. Nothing like this. This is a moment in history. This is a huge moment in history. And like, we just need to take the time, you know, like just take the time to appreciate it, everybody. Like, I know you see it every day and you're like, some of you really are tired of it and you just wish it was like normal again, but it's never normal for us. And that's why this is happening. That's what makes it a beautiful thing. That's really why I really appreciate every day I go on social media. I'm like, wow, like I can look back and be like, I knew something better was going to come of this. I knew there were going to be better days after this because everyone wanted it. You know, everyone really was like, this is messed up, man. These people are getting treated this way. And I've ignored it my whole life. How could I do that? You know, there's a lot of people having that epiphany. And that's, you know, that's great. That's great. But this has been the Playbook. This is the Enough is Enough series. This was part 3 with Amari Lawrence. Again, walk-on student athlete turned scholarship athlete kind of thing. One of my best friends, one of my dear friends, Amari, I appreciate you coming on, man. You know, I'm gonna call you tomorrow. I'll probably talk to you later today, kind of thing. But I appreciate you coming on. So we're gonna get it out. We're gonna promote it. Amari's back on social media, so we'll share it. We'll send it in our Pace group chats. We'll get it out there. But like I said, Amari, I appreciate you coming on, man. We're gonna keep it going. I'm gonna keep it rolling. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I know you're gonna do what you gotta do. So we just keep going. So I mean, you can find Amari. You can find Amari at Playboy Mari on Instagram and at, I don't know what your Twitter handle is.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
Same thing. All right. So, and you'll see him out when I repost this and everything. You can find the Sports Opinions Podcast at Sports Opinions 30 on Instagram and at Sports Opinion 30 on Twitter. And you can find me at RepJR on Instagram and at Rob Planner Jr. on Twitter. So, all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Keep fighting the good fight, man. You know, and God bless.